All right. Good morning. Good morning on this very beautiful January day. I want to first welcome the mayor and other public officials and government partners. I am Chris Shorter, the director of the district's Department of Public Works. I'm happy to welcome you to our commercial driver's license training site here at RFK Stadium. We are here to put districts on the path to the middle class. The Department of Public Works has long been a champion for the successful reentry of returning citizens back into society. We take this work very seriously. We nurture countless employees who have benefited from the district's programs and work hard every day at their second chance, giving their all to get the job done. DPW welcomes these returning citizens whose commitment to doing a good job has meant being able to collect trash, clear our streets of leaves, and support the spring and summer mowing programs. Workers in all three of these functions contribute to our mandate to keep our city clean and beautiful for residents and visitors. Through DPW's Public Works Academy, we are also helping returning citizens to achieve their dreams for a better life by giving them the tools to qualify for a commercial driver's license. These drivers are in high demand in both the public and private sector. An entry-level annual salary for a CDL driver is around $40,000, which goes a long way. Since February of 2016, 159 men and women, some of them returning citizens, have been trained in DPW's CDL program. They then enter a second tier of training to get their CDL, which features 24 days of on-the-road training for the driver's test. And so, when returning citizens come to DPW, we continue to do our part to make sure that their employment with the district government is beneficial to them and their families. And so I want to thank the mayor as I introduce her for her leadership and her vision, not just the CDL program, but many other programs, including our LEAP Academy, as well as DC Career Connections, for her leadership and the funding to support our programs. So with that, Mayor.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Chris. Well, good morning, everybody, and I'm delighted to be here, and I want to thank all the members of my team who are here, especially our employees from DPW. Give them a big round of applause. And I want to thank the directors who are joining me as well to talk about a change to the law that we will be sending to the council for their consideration. And what we're talking about is how we can make the law conform to our values and also our vision of putting more DC residents back to work. People who have paid their debt to society have earned a second chance, and now we have to make sure our policies support that. Every year, more than 600,000 Americans return to their communities with the hope of making a change and fulfilling their dreams for themselves and for their families. And some DC residents want to pursue their goal of becoming professional truck drivers. They plan to hone their driving skills right here at RFK before applying for a commercial driver's license, and that's what we do here. But because of an antiquated federal law, too many of our returning citizens are denied this opportunity and other basic driving rights. The law says currently that those convicted of drug offenses must have their driver's licenses suspended or taken away altogether. And last year, 486 driver's licenses were suspended based on this law. And it is important to note that this rule also applies to crimes that do not involve motor vehicles. So I believe, as I said earlier, that residents who have paid their debt to society, who've earned a second chance, also have to have meaningful ways to get good paying jobs that will help them support themselves and their families. So we will be advancing this change to the law. This change will ensure that the DC Criminal Code is tailored to meet our public safety needs, not to maintain antiquated and ineffective policies that have been in place for decades. Study after study shows that when a person has access to basic needs like a job and transportation and a family community support system and adequate housing, they're less likely to reoffend. So if we commit to this one small step, more of our returning citizens can apply for jobs that require a driver's license. It will also be easier for them to make it to their doctor's appointments, to seek housing, to support their children in their school activities, and all the things that we all seek to do in our city. If we are really serious about giving everybody an equal shot at success, we need to make it easier and not harder for everybody to have access to a good paying job. So that means that we and our administration will continue to seek ways to knock down barriers to reentry and to continue to find ways to reduce our recidivism rates across our city and our nation. And this is how we will build a safer and stronger DC. So with that, I would like to ask Brian Ferguson, who is our Director of the Office of Returning Citizens, to talk more about how this builds on DC's reentry programs.
So thank you, Mayor, and thank you especially on behalf of returning citizens in the District of Columbia for your support and focus on removing barriers that face our community. As you mentioned, returning citizens in the district are men and women who have paid their debt to society and return home ready and grateful for the opportunity to be good mothers, good fathers, good and hard workers, and good neighbors. Your announcement today is yet another example of the priority that you have given to creating that fair chance city that you talk about so often. It's another example of you using your power as the mayor to make sure that the road is clear for returning citizens in all 8 wards to get on that pathway to the middle class and to make sure that that pathway is a viable one for them. All of that was a part of your plan for the district and is why the district's residents elected you as our mayor. And I want to commend you today on your determination to follow through on your promises to the district residents and to the returning citizen community in particular. It's that follow through that separates you and has made your administration as successful as it's been so far. Your support for our office and the attention to the office that you've given has made a huge difference, so I want to thank you for that as well. The Mayor's Office on Returning Citizens Affairs is the first and I believe still the only legislatively mandated office in the nation of its kind, an office dedicated exclusively to the advancement of returning citizens in the District of Columbia. The mayor tasked this office with providing or facilitating connection to a tremendous amount of resources in the District of Columbia. That to ensure the safe and successful transition of people that were previously incarcerated back into society. We do this through connection and partnership with other partner government agencies such as DPW, as you can see is out in full force with us today, DMV, DOES, Housing Authority, and others. We also connect returning citizens to the amazing community organizations throughout the city who are dedicated to providing the essential services that returning citizens need for their successful reentry. MORCA itself provides an array of services, including family reunification trips, which allow for the reunification of families in DC with their resident with their family members that are incarcerated in other cities and other states across in the area. We also have a computer training program, a GED program, a women's customer service program, as well as a OSHA and Flaggers construction certification program, because as we all know, the city is bustling, it's growing, and we see all of the construction and cranes, and we want to make sure that we work with the mayor to ensure that DC residents and especially returning citizens are trained and ready to take those jobs and make the best of that situation and make the best of that opportunity. We also connect returning citizens with job readiness and placement programs, such as the amazing Career Connections that was mentioned earlier, as well as the Project Empowerment program at DOES. Also, the Aspire Entrepreneur Program, which enables previously incarcerated men and women with that entrepreneurial spirit to take the entrepreneurial spirit and make a business for themselves with the support of the DC government to create wealth for themselves and also job and opportunities for others in their community. We partner with DPW to provide a CDL training certification program in this very parking lot. Additionally, MORCA serves a dual role as both the voice of the mayor and the returning citizen community, and also, and just as importantly, the voice of the returning citizen community to the mayor. Mayor Bowser has listened to the returning citizen community, and through allocation of a tremendous amount of DC resources, over $100 million in fair and affordable housing, millions of dollars to employment and job readiness and preparation and placement programs such as the ones that I mentioned, but not exclusive to those. And through support of legislation such as Ban the Box for employment and housing, which allows returning citizens in the city the fair opportunity at employment and housing by prohibiting housing providers and employers from discriminating against people based on their criminal record. Through all of these things, she has responded by removing barriers wherever they lay for the returning citizen population. And so because of that, I definitely look forward to continuing working with you on behalf of the returning citizen population and to ensure that DC remains the national standard for equal opportunity for all of its residents. So with that, I would like to introduce Taiwan Henson, who will come up for a second to speak about his story and the importance of legislation such as this. Mr. Henson.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Taiwan Henson. I went through the Project Empowerment program, also the MOCA program, where I was sent to the Department of Public Works, where I obtained my CDL. Since that time, I have learned a lot of different experiences, and I've learned a way to provide for myself and my family. So I just want to thank Mayor Bowser, Christopher Shorter, Miss Monique West, and the whole Department of Public Works for giving me the opportunity and just give me a chance to go in a different direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you. And so we're very pleased once again to announce these changes that will allow more DC residents to obtain a driver's license and a pathway to a good paying job. And I'm happy to answer some questions. Sam?
So tell me how it works. You mean this is a federal law that's enforced in DC and has taken 400 and some licenses last year, or?
Yes. So the idea, I don't have to tell you when there were a lot of laws, and there are a lot of laws on our books still that were part of the war on drugs, and they have had various levels of effect. One such was to punish drug offenders, and as part of, in addition to whatever time they served, part of their punishment was to take their driver's license. And people have found it impossible to get those driver's licenses back. So we'll be changing that.
This is just in DC or everywhere? Or?
Yes, it's a federal law, and so it's applicable in many states.
So how can you? Does the Congress have to change it, or?
No, we provide licenses in DC for our residents. So we are changing our law that affects our ability to issue a license.
I see. Okay. And you said 400 people were denied a
486 last year, and I don't know how many. Yes. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Can we ask off-topic
Yes.
questions? Well, the issue of sanctuary cities is one that has come up. DC is a sanctuary city. What about the effort of the Trump administration and others, I get the impression that they will punish sanctuary cities with threatening the loss of federal funds. What's your reaction to this?
Well, it's the same as it's always been, that we in our city intend to protect the values and our policies that make sense for Washington, D.C.
Mayor, it's just a follow-up on what Sam
Yes.
said. The president is likely to sign some type of executive order a little bit later today that really could affect sanctuary cities. If he does pull funding from the city, where will it affect us the most? I know that we have a big savings account, and you could,
Well,
pull
it's
money.
difficult, Matt, for me to speculate about what he might do or what he can do by executive order. Keep in mind, we still have a Congress, and for many actions related to federal policy and budgets, there can be a proposal by the president, but an enactment by the Congress. So I can't speculate about what he might do.
I'm not asking you to speculate, because maybe he will remove all of it, maybe he won't. But what do you say to those folks who are really worried that if he pulls the funding from the city, that you might bend?
I can't say what he's going to do. So we can talk after we know what we're dealing with.
Court system in DC, because our court system is federally funded, right? So if President Trump were to withdraw that federal funding, would that have an impact on our courts in the city?
I can't imagine how the federal government would retreat on its commitment to criminal justice. Yes.
So yesterday, the governor returned the cause about the Redskins Stadium and moving it to Virginia. He said that he believes he could move that stadium to Virginia without any taxpayer dollars. I wanted to get your reaction to that, if you think something like that could be done here in the district.
Your question is, could a stadium be built without taxpayer dollars? A stadium could be built without taxpayer dollars, but I would expect that in any case, Maryland, Virginia, or D.C., that there would have to be some infrastructure support.
Do you feel that you don't have that in the district?
What's that?
The infrastructure support?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Well, you said that you would need infrastructure support, so I'm just asking about your reaction to what he's saying for Virginia.
What I'm saying, let me answer your question specifically. I don't think that there can be, in any case, in D.C., Maryland, or Virginia, a stadium built without taxpayers supporting infrastructure.
If the president signs this executive order today, about sanctuary cities and the funding, would it cause you to reconsider your feelings about it in any way?
Again, I don't know what the president is going to do as it relates to sanctuary cities, and I don't know what the Congress would do. So I think that we all have to examine what the changes are. The president could also repeal the Affordable Care Act. And that won't change how I feel about thousands of Washingtonians having access to insurance either. So I think that we know the policies that we have in place in the district, and I think there's a lot of things that we will have to react to. The biggest dollar amount that I think we're vulnerable is to the repeal of the Affordable Care Act. Yes, Matt.
Do you believe if he does sign an executive order, can you be available? I think there's a lot of questions. And I know you don't want to speculate, but do you think that we can catch up with you later today once that executive order is released, if it says anything about sanctuary cities?
I'll do my best, Matt. I want to make myself available to answer your questions, but we also don't want to have knee-jerk reactions. That's probably among the worst things that people can do. We want to be able to go look at anything that's coming out of the executive branch. We want to know what the Congress would have to say about it, and I would need an opportunity to examine its impact across all of my agencies. So I don't want to give you the impression that I can give you a knee-jerk response, because it will require us to look at the impact on the district.
Fielding a lot of calls and a big response from the community about our sanctuary city status?
Oh, we've been fielding calls since, November. about questions about what it means for Washingtonians, D.C. residents who live here. But this is not a new policy for the district. It's been around for several years, and we have gotten a lot of questions and calls and feelings of anxiety, especially from families who fear that it means that they could be torn apart. Our message, of course, is always that we want people, D.C. residents, to not fear calling on their government. When people fear calling the police or calling on the government for help, it makes the entire city less safe. And so we need that to be loud and clear. D.C. residents, you can call 911. If you see a crime, if you're a victim of a crime, if you need help, call 311. And that's for any and all D.C. resident. Thank you, everybody.